Mahesh Balakrishnan. I lived in the Bay Area for more than 20 years now. Used to live in New York before that. Married, my wife Prerna, who's also involved with the South Asian Art Center. We have two kids, a boy and a girl, who are both in college, and now it's the two of us and a dog. So that's a little bit about me. And just like many others here in the Bay Area, I work in high tech. Live in Palo Alto, work in San Francisco. Although, like many of us, I'm now working predominantly from home.
Great, great. Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you for being with us and sharing your journey on the Stop Diabetes program. So my first question to you is, what prompted you to join this program and now?
Okay. So, as you know, Ashish, Prerna and I have been involved with the South Asian Heart Center for many years, mainly as donors, and we have known about the Stop D program for a long time as well. But I've never actually been an active participant in it. So it's a good question as to why now. And I would say the main reason for it is two things. One is I happened to do some blood work and I saw my numbers and I didn't like what I saw. So I said, okay, I have to do something about it. And the second is I have aging parents, and a number of my friends have aging parents. And one of the things I saw was that a number of people don't age very well from a quality of life standpoint. And I said, hey, this is something that I should actually actually address, because lifespans are going up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that quality of life is going up. And so one of the things I wanted to do was not just to make sure that I have a longer life, but I have a high quality life. And what better way to do that than to pay attention to health? So those were the two reasons as to why now.
Awesome. I think I'm so glad that you began your journey with those very, very important things. The quality of life, people don't think about until it's too late, really. So thank you for doing that. So what did you accomplish with the Stop Diabetes program?
Okay. So there were two things I had as goals going into it. One is I wanted my numbers, my HbA1c and other key metrics to become healthier. And the second was that I wanted to lose weight. I've been on the program. I just finished the program, so that started it about a year or so back. And my HbA1c number went down. So I was at 6.0 when I started. And by the time I entered the program, just about a month or so back, it had dropped down to 5.7, which in the larger scheme doesn't seem like a big deal. But I've been told that, going from 6 to 5.7 is actually a good accomplishment. And the other thing, which is more visible, is that I lost 20 pounds. So those were the two main accomplishments that actually made a real difference to the way I live, which is I feel healthier and I feel better. Just not having 20 pounds to carry around actually makes a big difference.
Absolutely. So those are huge accomplishments. Actually, people struggle to move the needle on the A1c quite a bit. And I think that you're seeing the results of your cumulative effort through the whole program. I will have to kind of ask an additional question here, because
sure,
losing 20 pounds and changing the A1c in a sustainable way is kind of hard, and doing it over a period of 1 year. What are the things that you put in place for your lifestyle to be able to get to this point?
Okay, so here are a few things that I did, and not all of this might be applicable to all of you, because every one of us is different, and we have to figure out what is the thing that works for us. I can tell you my journey, and maybe there are some things from here that do apply to you and others that don't. So one is I'm a fairly methodical person. And one of the conclusions I came to was that weight was something that I could actually measure regularly. It's in HbA1c, you can't really measure it on a regular basis. You have to go get blood work. But weight was something that I could actually measure. And so I said, okay, I'm going to measure my weight daily. So one of the first things I did as a routine was when I get up, the first thing I do is weigh myself. So at a particular point in time, I was going to weigh myself. And so I can see on a daily basis how my weight varies. The second thing I said is I want to be able to see some changes that manifest itself on a regular basis, and therefore on my weighing scale, it shows weight on a 0.1 pound level. So I said I want to lose at least 1 pound a week, because if I lose 1 pound a week, there's some change every day that is going to show up. So that was the reason I picked 1 pound, and it's also a reasonable goal. It wasn't I know I'm going to lose 20 pounds in a month. It was 1 pound a week. I was also interested in making a lifestyle change, and therefore my approach was I'm going to make small wins, get small wins, but they add up to a big win over a period of time. Because I wasn't looking for a quick win that would disappear. I was looking for a win that I could stick with. So the first thing was lose 1 pound a week. So I did a calorie calculation to figure out how many my calorie input needs to be in order for me to lose 1 pound a week. There are calorie calculators online that you can figure out. And then the other thing I did, and the tools from my health coach helped me there, which is tools to keep track of what you eat. So I bought on Amazon a weighing scale that allowed me to weigh every single thing that I ate. And I started keeping a track of it. So I weighed everything that I ate, and I came up with some simple heuristics of, hey, 100 grams of cauliflower is this many calories. 100 grams of chicken is so many calories. If you put a plate of quinoa and veggies, it's approximately this many calories. So I weighed every single thing I ate, and that allowed me to keep track of calories. And one thing I found is that when you weigh yourself and when you weigh what you eat and track it, it actually changes your behavior because you're tracking what you're doing. So it becomes a reinforcement thing as to, hey, you're doing wrong, you're doing something not so good, and so I can react to it. That feedback loop is much more frequent. So it was basically as simple as that. And then the second thing was, one of the things about the heart program from the South Asian Heart Center is you got to do a certain amount of exercise. So I put in 2 walks a day. So it started with those kinds of small steps, tracking what I eat, as well as making sure that I'm getting a certain amount of exercise on a daily basis. Having a dog helps because you can take a dog for a walk. And then over time, I added a few more things, like strength training apparently makes a big difference. It's ironic that cardio by itself is not enough, that strength training actually helps from a health standpoint. And actually, hey, it also makes you look good. Your muscle tone and things like that make a difference. So those are the main things that I did. One of the things about the South Asian Heart Center program is meditation. I'm sorry to say that that's something that I haven't yet managed to make part of my routine. So I still have work to do going forward. And the last thing was paying attention to sleep and making sure that I get at least 7 hours of sleep a day. And I started going to sleep at regular hours and getting up at a regular hour. So those were the things. Keeping track of what you do and monitoring it and making sure that you get feedback implies that it changes your behavior.
Awesome. I think all of the things that you've mentioned by in itself look very simple. But when you start implementing it, it is hard in the sense tracking, weighing all of your food. This is more time that you have to kind of spend with all of that. If you make it a habit and you're doing it constantly, of course, it becomes second nature, but you are able to accomplish it. So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So what are your, yeah, go ahead.
And there were a few things that I think you can do to simplify it afterwards. So you might go through a month or so of doing it in a bit more of a regimented manner. But after that, it got to the point where I did not have to weigh food because I could eyeball something and make a reasonably good guess as to, what the calorie input is. So I found that once I did this for a month, I could relax, so to speak, and did not have to be as regimented about it. The thing that I still continue to do today is I weigh myself every day because I find that it does make a difference. And if you start slipping, it shows up right away and you can take corrective action. You don't have to wait until a long time goes back and now it's a more difficult problem to fix.
Well, you have the pulse on your weight. So
yes,
that makes a huge difference. Yes, absolutely. And so what words of wisdom do you have for people listening to this?
So I would say the first thing is to figure out what works for you and you might want to try some things that you think will make a difference, but if you find that it's impossible for you to operate that way, then look for some other approach that does work for you. I think it's important to find a system that works for you. The thing that I would say is you want to be able to measure something, because it's important to give yourself feedback on a regular basis as to whether you're improving or whether you're slipping. So figure out whatever it is that you can do in order to get that feedback. For me, it was weight. And I think weight is something that hopefully is simple enough for everyone to use. So that's one. The second is, track at least some things, because once you track, it actually does change your behavior, and you don't have to track forever. I think if you track for about a month, you'll fall into a pattern of behavior that you can sustain. And the third thing I would say is set small goals, because small goals over a long period of time actually make a really big difference, and is something that is likely to translate into something that you can actually stick with, as opposed to something that you try for 2 months and then give up on. So go for small goals, but small goals that, when added up over time, translate into a bigger outcome, but an outcome that you're going to then be able to maintain.
Excellent. That's kind of short and sweet. Any words about the South Asian Art Center as your partner along your journey?
Yeah, I think I absolutely would not and could not have done this without the program from the South Asian Art Center. My coach helped me along the way, and one of the ways in which the coach helps is give you personalized feedback on the things that are working for you and what other things that you should try. And when certain things are not working for you, they're going to be able to give you feedback on, well, what else can you try? That's one. The second is, and I think all of us know this, when somebody is checking in on you, it actually creates the discipline and the need for you to actually follow through on the things that you said you were going to do. The fact that I was going to have a check-in with my coach next week or next month actually meant that it created the external motivation to actually do something. And once you have done that for a certain period of time, the new habits kick in, and the new habits are internalized, and then you can stick with it. But the coach helps you establish new habits, and I don't think there is a way I could have done it without this program.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time and being with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Ashish. My pleasure.